we just talk about whatever interests us, I think, and I
Yes.
find that quite enjoyable. And I actually get a little bit anxious when people tell me they're listening because I think this is our private conversation and you shouldn't be listening in. I had a work colleague
Uh,
say she was listening to one of the podcasts the other day, and I thought, oh, what did we talk about in that one? um,
yeah.
but yeah, so one of the things that you have started doing, I think it was probably about the middle of last year that you started sending these emails sporadically, was just some of your thoughts that you were having. And I don't know if the intention was to get people thinking themselves and have people start asking questions that they weren't necessarily thinking about. But they are thought provoking little quotes and statements that you make, that I
Mm.
think causes people to ask the question for themselves and see where they stand on those points.
Yeah, so that was the whole idea about it, because I obviously always have these kind of thoughts, etc. And instead of writing a long form piece explaining how I feel and what my views are, etc., I thought it would be interesting to just share a brief sentence or two about the subjects or the topics that I've been thinking about, and hopefully get somebody to think about it too. And the intention was always to kind of, I don't know, leave it a little bit cryptic in terms of where I stand on some of these things. Um, but the idea was to actually get people's feedback and get their responses on not necessarily all of these points, but maybe one or two stand out. But to encourage people to think.
Yeah. So how's the response been? Because I know you send it out to your colleagues, the people that you work with, and I know a few of them, and I can already think of one person who probably sends some replies every now and again. But I'm just curious if you do get a good response from people, or if you have conversations with them afterwards, and bring up some of the points. And
Yeah, so it's kind of like what I would have expected. There are a few people, not a lot of them. It's
mm-hmm,
actually less than I had hoped
mm-hmm,
would actually respond and share their thoughts. Um, but that's okay. What's quite interesting is this is almost every time that I meet with somebody in person,
mm-hmm,
I then get some feedback and say, oh, by the way, and
yeah,
and it's sometimes months from when I sent it,
yeah.
where somebody would say, you know what, that thing really resonated with me, or it made me think about it, and these are my views on it.
I
And
wonder
that's
if
also okay. That
some
means
people are scared to put it down in writing because these are
I
sometimes
think
quite
so.
controversial topics and you're asking for an opinion on something that might be polarizing. So maybe people are scared about
Correct.
putting it in words.
Yeah, true, and people also have this thing about, what if I have an opinion that um, does not align with your opinion, will that be held against me and so on.
Yeah.
Whereas, I really just want to learn. I just want to hear what other people think of these things and so on. So
Yeah.
anyway, that was the origin of it, and it is sporadic. Um, I try to keep it short deliberately because people don't have a... Anyway,
It gives us
so
quite a nice. We could use one of your thoughts for every episode going forward because I feel like all of these things are things we could have a hour or 2 hour conversation on if we wanted to, probably longer. So,
yeah.
so okay, the first one I'm going to bring up is the one that you mentioned in your last one on the. I think it was on the 1st of January, first one of the year, um, which was the more we talk, the less the words mean.
Mm,
You wrote on, I'm witnessing more action, which is encouraging, do you? And the quote from Mark Twain, actions speak louder than words, which is an overused quote. I think everyone says it a
mm.
lot, but I wonder how long people stop to think about what that actually means.
Yeah, so look, what prompted that was we see some of the more popular movements starting to fizzle out. Um, so diversity, equity, inclusion, the whole DEI thing, that is, well, it's not fizzling out, it's collapsing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, post the Harvard scandal and the ongoing things, etc., etc. And I don't think that we've seen the last of that, but that's really collapsing. But the whole rhetoric around that, so there was a whole lot of talk about and a whole lot of nodding because people were too afraid or too scared to speak their mind and act the way that they would normally act.
Mm-hmm.
So that was one thing. Um, Cancel culture. I mean, jeez.
We
I
spoke
mean,
about
there's so
that.
much talk about that. Yeah,
I
So
think
you
what you
start
said
saying,
in this was cancel culture will cancel itself. We spoke
mm,
about we should cancel culture, but I think your statement was more correct that cancel culture ends up canceling itself.
yeah, the beast starts eating its own tail and consuming itself eventually. Uh, anyway, so that is another one. I think that there's a whole lot of people waking up about this whole ESG scam. You know, we all want to live in uh, a healthy on a healthy planet, but keep threatening us with the ice caps are going to melt, the oceans are going to boil, and every 5 or 10 years, flip it around. Um, People are getting sick and tired of that.
Mm-hmm.
People are maybe getting a better understanding of, listen, CO2 emissions is really not as damaging as you are trying to make it up. And please do not come and tell us that you can actually know for sure what the temperature was in Bloemfontein 125,000 years ago. I mean, that's absolute bullshit.
I hadn't
I
even
mean,
thought about that as how did they measure the temperature of the earth before.
yeah, absolutely. So just think about this. We are um, one little speck in a galaxy. We are spinning at around our own axis at I don't know, can't remember the numbers, but we are traveling around the sun at something like 17,000 miles an hour, something like that.
I
Okay.
can't verify. I don't know the numbers,
But
but
anyway,
yeah.
as long as we understand that our little planet spins around its own axis, and then we also spin around, and there's a whole bunch of other shit also
Yeah.
going around us, etc. And you really think that it's not 8 billion, because not 8 billion people have access to all of these things that they claim causing this. You really think that a billion people can have such a large effect on the forces of nature? You see, it's funny. They tell you, and this is not a disputed fact as far as I can tell, there was a time, I can't remember how many thousands of years ago, when the Sahara Desert was lush and there were trees and forests and all sorts of things. And now it's no longer.
Mm-hmm.
They can't tell you who fucked up the climate, who caused that.
Yeah.
And the same with the younger dryers or younger dryer, kind of like they're all of these climate events, etc., that we assume that, well, the ice ages, things just happened and they changed.
Yeah.
But now all of a sudden they want to extract $50 trillion from I don't know whom, us, to save the planet,
Yeah.
and they know exactly how to do it. It's absolute nonsense. Anyway, so that's another one. And I see more people starting to push back on
Mm-hmm.
that. And then I see just on a kind of every level of society, people are sick and tired of politicians. Um, the the farmer protests
Yeah.
in Germany at the moment, where they've actually got the truckers, they've got other people starting to join these protests, etc., etc. So the days of um, just sitting back and elected officials making decisions that affect all of us, and sometimes non-elected officials. Um, I mean, the European Union, Ursula von der Leyen. I mean, she is, what is her title?
Um,
Um,
Director
Supreme
General.
Supreme Commander
Was
of the European
it?
Union or something like that. She was not elected.
Yeah.
I mean, who the hell is she to speak on behalf of the average Italian, Greek, Dutch, Spanish, or whoever? I mean, the fact that people have not marched to Brussels.
Yeah. We
Anyway,
tend to just accept what we're given.
yes, which
Yeah.
that quote, the average man doesn't want to be free, he wants to be safe. And I don't know who to credit for that, but the average man doesn't want to be free, he wants to be safe. Because that's what we want, and
Yeah.
that's what these people tell us.
They
I know
say
how to
that they'll
keep you
keep us
safe.
safe. Yeah.
Mm.
Well, that's one of the quotes from the book that I've just read, which is the Doug Casey, John Hunt, Assassin. It's the third in the Higher Ground novels. Um, is about anyone who wants to be president or who wants to be a politician shouldn't be. It's not. It's
Yeah,
not like a position people should aspire to. Um, and there's a guy running for
correct.
president who says, "I don't want to be president, but this is where I need to be to try and affect change in the country." Or, but it's this idea of the people who want to be politicians and presidents and leaders. They want power.
Correct. And it is so anti what it was meant to be.
Yeah,
It is, we call them public servants
they're not
for a
serving me.
reason. They're not serving the public. It's yeah. Anyway, but
Yeah.
that was kind of like the high level thinking behind that statement or that point that I had in I've been thinking.
That's it's a very relevant one for me. And one of your other quotes was about ego, and I feel like I've got a big ego because I always bring all these things back to myself and how I feel in the situation. But I've been frustrated with things that I'm missing from living in South Africa, and why can't it just be a little bit more like that where I am now? But the one thing I always come back to, and it makes me comfortable with giving up some of the things I've had to give up, is the fact that I feel safe. um, it's such a huge, overwhelming feeling that I would give up a lot of the things that I was very happy about in South Africa for that one. So I think that that's quite an interesting thing to think about.
And it is what they count on.
Yeah,
When I say they,
the G.
whoever. Yeah, they yes,
Yeah.
they will. Um, and I don't like to just refer to them they, because it
Mm-hmm.
seems like, well, it's a little bit too
Ethereal.
general or whatever. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Whereas, and it's easy to argument around it. Whereas if I say to you, um, I do not trust Anthony Fauci if he says that he will keep me safe.
Mm-hmm.
That's more specific.
Yeah.
And then we can have a conversation about, is Anthony Fauci lying, cheating scumbag, then should he be in prison? And I can share the facts
Yeah.
that I kind of and anyway. So when we talk about they, understand that this is not just because I have some half-baked theory and I don't have specific people that I'm pissed off with.
Yeah.
There's quite a long list, but
Do you feel
yeah,
like that resonates with you? Because we've spoken about freedom before, um, and we were talking about striving for freedom and what you can do to be as free as possible under the constraints that we have. But
absolutely,
do
yeah.
you feel like you want to be safe more than you want to be free?
I I want to be. Um,
Both.
I obviously want to be both. Yeah, that's the cop out answer. Um, but for me, it's about taking agency, not giving agency away to somebody else to take responsibility for that,
Yeah.
and to really um, have my own agency over as much as possible. Um, so obviously don't want to start my own country and have a piece of land and build a big wall around it. Well, mind you, no, I don't want that.
The
But
Republic of Herman.
yes, something like that. Where the hell will that even be? And anyway, but I think that there are things that one can do. Um, Take more responsibility and ownership of. Um, and to what extent you practice that or to what level you take that, that's up to every individual. I know what I'm comfortable with and what I'm capable of, and so on. So,
Yeah.
um, for example, I cannot build a house. Okay. It's not within my skill set.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but do I have access to property uh, that I can call my own, that I know is in an environment, that sort of age, I can take responsibility for that.
Mm-hmm.
The same with I can't connect batteries and solar panels and things like that. Okay, cool. If I can't do that, what can I learn to do that? Is it necessary for me to learn to do that, or can I get somebody to come and do that for me and then mitigate that risk?
Mm-hmm.
So kind of like go down that list of things. Um, the, the the one thing that has obviously changed for me quite a bit is wow, there's no point in me growing potatoes and lettuce and tomatoes in my own veggie garden now that I've learned that those things purpose in life is just to kill me.
Poison.
But yeah, but anyway, so I the awareness of where you outsource your freedom in return for safety
Yeah.
is already a big step in in my view. I don't know. Do you have a plan B? Maybe I should have several plan Bs. So I have a
At Five Friday, didn't we used to talk about a plan A, a plan B, and a plan all the way to Z.
plan
You know,
Z. Yeah,
you gotta have a plan in
correct.
case of everything. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, I have, and that's something that we've gone through with my team, in terms of we're sitting with power issues from time to time and so on. And it's like work from home. Okay, cool. Everybody has to have a plan B. What is your plan B?
Mm.
If electricity is not available where you live and you don't have enough battery or solar or whatever to be able to do your job, where are you going to go?
Mm-hmm.
Is it something, is there a coffee shop down the road? It could be as simple as that. It could be a colleague. It could be a family member, whatever. But
Mm-hmm.
have a simple plan B. So I have a plan B and a plan C and a plan D for that myself.
Mm-hmm.
But that's clear, and it's, if if shit hits the fan and I know exactly where's my first option, my second, my third, my fourth option.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so that's a simple example. Um, if there's kind of like bigger issues or concerns, etc., do we have a plan B? Do we have a plan C? In terms of, well, if it's not safe in my neighborhood anymore,
Mm.
do I have a plan B? Do I have a family member or a friend or whoever that I can phone and say, hey, listen, I'm going to come stay there for a couple
Mm-hmm.
of days. It's for my own safety. I don't know if enough people have that in place.
Yeah.
So I'm not a prepper, you know, in terms of I don't have canned food and
Toilet paper.
toilet paper and all these kind of things, you know. So definitely not that.
Yeah.
But I do sometimes wonder. I mean, did you see last week the whole of Sweden was told to prepare for war?
I did it. I missed that.
I kid you not. Go check it. Um, there's some government official that said that citizens must prepare for war. When I first saw it, I thought, you know what, I'm not going to pay too much attention to it. But a very, what I consider to be a very credible resource, then posted about it
Hmm.
and said, "Hey, this is not made up. This is for real." Anyway, Sweden's a little bit far, so I haven't really paid attention, and because I don't have to compete with toilet paper with the Swedes, and so so. But anyway,
Yeah.
um, eh, those kind of things, I think it's worth giving some thought to it in terms of freedom
That is a
and
big one.
safety.
Like I say, we could talk about that for an hour. The
Yeah.
average man doesn't want to be free, he wants to be safe. Um, Maybe we can move on to the next one because I like this one. You don't have an income problem, you have a spending problem. As I say
Yes.
that, one of my savings things just messaged me about my balance.
Fantastic. Um, yeah, so I haven't written about this one yet. This is just and again, I unfortunately don't know who to credit for that. I will find out. Um, but when I first read it, I thought, you know, kind of like the first thought is yeah, screw you. I mean, I don't have a spending problem. Um, because it seems like, you know, quite a statement to make about my spending habits.
Yeah.
Um, but then I thought about it and I thought, you know what, this is maybe something worth thinking about a little bit. Even though I feel I don't have a spending problem, I feel like I am um, very conservative in my spending. I save, I don't spend more than I earn. I never use my credit card unless there's money in the credit card, so it's more convenient. So I do all of those things, you know. Um, but I don't think that that's the main point of that statement. I think the main point of that statement is if you ask any of us, do we think that we'll do better if we get more money?
Mm-hmm.
We'll all say yes, without thinking,
Yeah.
without thinking, what am I going to do? What do I need it for, etc., etc. And from that point, I thought that, hang on, maybe it's worth looking at it from a different angle and go, what if I got paid what some of these other oaks got paid? I mean, you see it, you know, it's these public companies, etc.
Yeah.
So whether you're talking about the Elon Musks of the world and that sort of thing, or you talk about just I don't know, the CEO of
Discovery.
whatever bank,
Yeah.
yeah, bank, medical aid, insurance company, or whatever. And you think, wow, that sounds like an enormous amount of money. It is. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, don't get me wrong, making crazy amounts of money. But what will, how will that improve my life?
Yeah.
So will I just immediately rush out and go buy a fancy car? Or will I immediately start looking to buy a bigger house? Will I immediately
Yeah.
want to change my TV? So I think from that point of view,
S-
uh, uh,
Yeah. So my mom actually asked me this because when I saw her recently, I was saying I just want to win the lottery, and she said, "But why? Like, what do you want to not work?" And I said, "No, I want to work. I wouldn't change a thing. I just feel like it would take the pressure off a little bit. Where even though I'm quite secure and comfortable in my job at the moment, there's always that feeling of what if I lose my job?" And
mm,
what next. So I just feel like I want a safety net. I want to know that, and I feel like I'll be a better worker for it because I won't always feel on edge about like I have to have this job.
uh, have you defined that safety net? Do you know what that safety net, does it have a number?
um,
Is it?
I could put a number to it, I guess.
I think it's important that you do put a number
Yeah,
to it because that will also give you some clarity in terms of well, maybe you don't have to win the lottery.
yeah.
When you say do you want to win the lottery, really, come on, pick one.
I always
Do
say
you
I'll
want to
be
win
happy
the
with 1 million.
mega?
1 million. That's
We'll be
all I
happy
need.
with a 1 million.
Not rand.
So, so what? So what will you do with if your number is 1 million? What does it look like? I think one must be a bit more specific about that in terms of, and then if you kind of reduce that, well, maybe that number doesn't have to be 1 million because 1 million is just some random number. So I don't know. Could it be 500,000? Could
Do
it
you
be
know
a
what?
hundred thousand?
I'm going to make a spreadsheet. I'm going to figure out what that number is.
Fantastic. I think it's a very good exercise.
Yeah, because it's not just about like day to day living.
Yeah, yeah.
I want to travel. I want to be able to buy the things that I want, not necessarily need. Things that I feel will make my life easier, happier. I really want to buy a sous vide, but they're damn expensive. um, but so I think it's not just about being able to pay my rent and pay for food and those things. Yeah,
But back that spreadsheet,
yeah,
I think it's, I think it's, whether your that safety net for you includes a little island um, and a yacht in Monaco or whatever. That's irrelevant as long as you kind of know what what makes up that
yeah.
number that you consider to be that safety net.
But one of the
Um,
difficulties of that is not knowing how long I'm going to live because because I look at like the British pension, for example. There's the estimate online about how much you'll get paid. It's like 200 and something a week. I do also have a couple of private pensions, but when I calculate what my monthly will be, I know my expenses will be lower when I'm 70, but um,
no.
well, I don't know. Well, this is the point. Is but my salary is a lot. Well, my salary, the monthly amount I would be getting, is a lot lower than what I'm used to. So it does give me pause to think. Well, am I going to live for 5 years or am I going to live for 50 years when I reach 70? Who knows? Because
Th- This
yeah.
topic is definitely a conversation that requires its own slot.
Okay.
Once you got that spreadsheet, because I want to push back on this thing about when you're 70, you're not going to need the same.
Yeah.
Um,
You get
I'm
pensioners discount on a whole bunch of things.
no, 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 no. If you think of that, it's anyway. So I really think
Okay, we will
get a
revisit this.
number, and then we'll revisit this.
You can help me manage my finances for my future.
No, no,
The
I don't want to manage anybody's finances.
the other
I,
thing
I,
is the retirement age just keeps going further and further away because it was like 65, and now at the moment in the UK it's 68, and it's planning to go higher, so it keeps kind of pushing out.
yeah, I have lots to say about all of that. I have lots to say about all of that. I have thought about all of that,
Yeah.
you know, kind of like what is it, the thing about age, about retirement, what does it mean? This thing about pensions, about, reliance on the government.
Yeah.
We just we just 5 minutes ago said, do not trust the fuckers. And now you go, they're supposed to look after me.
They are supposed to.
No, you can't
I've
trust
paid
them.
tax my whole life so that they'll look
They
after me.
they have spent all the tax that you pay, plus your children and your grandchildren and their grandchildren's. How much debt
I know.
does your government and any government in the world? In other words, they have spent a couple of generations ahead, and
Yeah.
they are just accelerating that trend. So there's no
Where's
guarantee.
the plan B
There's
and
no.
plan C and plan Z?
Well,
So,
I think
yeah.
it's important to get that safety net, because that's I think that's a really important thing for everybody. Doesn't matter what your station in life is where you have and so on. Is just to kind of do that calculation and you know what? If I have $1,000, I'll be okay.
Yeah.
If I lose my job, it doesn't mean I'm not going to find a job, because that's a reality that also everybody should have. Everybody and anybody can lose their job tomorrow.
Yeah.
There's no guarantee there. If you're self-employed, whether you work for a
The
corporate, whether you
industry, yeah.
work for a government or whatever, it's the same story. You
Yeah.
have no job security.
Yeah.
And the sooner we all get comfortable with that, and see, there's no conspiracy about somebody coming to take your job, etc., etc. But it, it it just is the way it is. Then have a number where we can be comfortable to remove that anxiety caused by the shit. I know I should have something in place, but I don't know. And then we go for $1 million, and that's probably not the right number.
Yeah.
Anyway, I
I
look
want to
forward to
talk
that
about this. Yeah,
conversation.
I think we need to explore this one a little bit more. Um,
Yeah.
I think we'll save some of your other quotes for another podcast as well. They keep them coming, and
Okay.
keep making people question the things that they think that they know.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
cool.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Ali.
Herman.